Adolf Hitler, a name that sends chilling waves across history, began his journey in the simplest of settings. Born in the late spring of 1889 in the charming town of Braunau am Inn, Austria, Adolf was the fourth of 6 children born to Alois Hitler and his wife Clara. His father, a stern, hard-working customs officer, and his mother, a gentle, nurturing woman, could never have imagined the infamous legacy their son would leave. As a youth, Adolf was known to be intelligent yet rebellious, often clashing with his authoritarian father. The tension between father and son was further fueled by Adolf's aspiration to become an artist, a dream that Alois Hitler did not support. Despite the familial discord, young Adolf remained steadfast in his ambition, showing early signs of the stubborn determination that would later define his political career. However, life had its own plans. After the death of his parents, Adolf found himself struggling to make ends meet in the bustling city of Vienna. His dreams of becoming a successful artist were met with repeated failure, as he was twice rejected from the prestigious Vienna Academy of Fine Arts. For a time, he even lived in homeless shelters, selling postcards of his artwork to scrape together a meager living. Yet it was during these years of hardship that Hitler began to develop his radical political views. The city of Vienna, a melting pot of diverse cultures and ideologies, became a fertile ground for his growing resentment towards certain sections of society. He became deeply influenced by the writings of anti-Semitic thinkers, a prejudice that would later become the horrifying cornerstone of his policies. In the shadows of his seemingly ordinary life, little did the world know the storm that was brewing. The man who once aspired to create art would instead leave behind a legacy of destruction and despair, forever etching his name in the annals of history as a symbol of absolute tyranny. The Great War, a turning point in many lives, was the crucible that shaped Hitler's destiny. As a young man, Hitler enlisted in the German army and found himself in the throes of World War I. Amidst the chaos and the carnage, he displayed commendable bravery. His valor did not go unnoticed, and he was decorated for his courage under fire. Yet the war was not just a test of his mettle. It was a bitter pill that left a lasting impact. The defeat of Germany, a proud nation brought to its knees, deeply affected him. He saw the Treaty of Versailles not as a peace agreement, but as a humiliating surrender. This sense of national humiliation and personal outrage ignited a spark within him. He began to harbor deep-seated resentment toward the victors of the war and the architects of the treaty. The seeds of resentment were sown, laying the foundation for a dark future. From the ashes of defeat, Hitler found his calling in the extremist rhetoric of the National Socialist German Workers' Party. This was a group that, like Hitler, was discontented with the Treaty of Versailles and the state of post-war Germany. It was in this party that Hitler discovered his talent for impassioned public speaking, a talent that would serve him well in his rise to power. In the early days of his political career, Hitler was seen as a somewhat eccentric but mesmerizing speaker. His speeches, filled with nationalistic fervor and anti-Semitic rhetoric, resonated with a German populace disillusioned by economic hardship and craving a return to national pride. It wasn't long before he ascended the ranks, taking the reins of the party in 1921. But Hitler's ambition extended far beyond leading a political party. In 1923, he and his followers attempted to seize power in a coup known as the Beer Hall Putsch. The attempt was ill-fated and resulted in Hitler's arrest. Yet even from the confines of his prison cell, Hitler continued to plot his path to power. During his 9 months of imprisonment, Hitler penned Mein Kampf, or My Struggle. This was more than just a memoir. It was a manifesto outlining his plans for Germany's future. In it, he detailed his disdain for the Treaty of Versailles, his hatred for Jews, and his belief in the German people's racial superiority. Mein Kampf was a chilling preview of what was to come. Upon his release, Hitler resumed his political activities with renewed vigor. By the early 30s, the Nazi Party had become a formidable force in German politics. Hitler's charismatic speeches and promises of a resurrected Germany had struck a chord with a people longing for change. In the underbelly of German politics, a new force was gaining momentum. This force, propelled by Adolf Hitler and his extremist views, would soon plunge the world into a devastating conflict, the likes of which it had never seen before. The world watched in disbelief as Hitler, a man once imprisoned for treason, ascended to the pinnacle of German power. In 1933, the course of history swerved sharply as Adolf Hitler, a man who had once served time behind bars, became the Chancellor of Germany. The man who was once viewed as a mere agitator had now become one of the most powerful political figures in the world. His ascension marked the beginning of a new era, an era that would be defined by the consolidation of power and the establishment of a totalitarian state, the Third Reich. Hitler's government, under the guise of restoring Germany's dignity and prosperity, began to systematically dismantle the democratic institutions of the Weimar Republic. The Reichstag fire, a pivotal event that occurred in February of 1933, provided Hitler with the pretext he needed to suppress opposition. With the passing of the Enabling Act shortly thereafter, Hitler acquired absolute power, allowing him to rule by decree. The German people, swayed by Hitler's charismatic oratory and promises of a better future, were gradually indoctrinated into the Nazi ideology. A vast propaganda machine worked tirelessly to shape public opinion, promoting the ideals of racial purity, anti-Semitism, and German supremacy. Simultaneously, opposition was ruthlessly suppressed. Political dissenters were silenced, often finding themselves in the dreaded concentration camps. The infamous Night of the Long Knives saw Hitler purge his own party, eliminating potential rivals and solidifying his control over the Nazi Party. As Hitler tightened his grip on Germany, he began to prepare for war. A massive rearmament program was initiated in direct violation of the Treaty of Versailles. Hitler's ambition was clear. He envisioned a world dominated by the Aryan race, and he was willing to plunge humanity into the abyss to achieve it. And so, the stage was set for a catastrophe of unimaginable proportions. Under Hitler's rule, humanity witnessed its darkest hour. The year was 1939, and the world teetered on the precipice of a devastating conflict. Hitler, obsessed with racial purity and global domination, set his sights on Poland, igniting the spark that would engulf the world in the flames of World War II. But this was not just a war of nations, it was tragically a war against a people. The Holocaust, one of the most horrific chapters in human history, unfolded under Hitler's watch. The Nazis, driven by Hitler's perverse ideology, orchestrated the systematic extermination of 6 million Jews. Men, women, and children were torn from their homes, forced into ghettos, and transported to concentration camps. There, in places with names that still sent chills down our spines, Auschwitz, Treblinka, Sobibor, they were subjected to unspeakable atrocities. While the world was at war, Hitler's final solution was in full swing. The Nazis' cruel machinery of death worked day and night, turning human beings into numbers, lives into ashes. The Holocaust was not just a crime against the Jewish people, it was a crime against humanity, a stark reminder of the depths of depravity to which mankind can sink. Meanwhile, the war raged on, expanding beyond Europe's borders. Hitler's dream of a 1,000-year Reich pushed the world into a nightmarish landscape of conflict and destruction. From the Arctic chill of the Russian front to the sun-scorched deserts of North Africa, from the bloody beaches of Normandy to the Pacific's remote islands, Hitler's war touched every corner of the globe. In his quest for racial purity and world domination, Hitler had turned the globe into a battlefield. His actions left an indelible scar on our collective memory, a haunting reminder of the cost of hatred, bigotry, and unchecked power. It is a lesson we must never forget, a story we must continue to tell, so that such darkness may never descend upon us again. In the ruins of his grandiose dreams, Hitler met his inevitable downfall. As the tide of war turned against Germany, Hitler's once ironclad grip on power began to falter. His decision-making became erratic, his health deteriorated, and his once loyal followers started to question his leadership. In the face of impending defeat, Hitler retreated into his bunker, a shadow of the man who had once held the world in the palm of his hand. There, amidst the crumbling ruins of his Reich, he spent his final days. Paranoia and despair were his constant companions as he grappled with the reality of his defeat. In April of 1945, Hitler, unable to face the consequences of his actions, chose to end his own life. His death marked the end of an era of tyranny and terror. Adolf Hitler, the man who had shaken the world to its core, was no more. But his legacy, a chilling reminder of the depths of human cruelty, would live on.